good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are joining us from. I am Adam Evans, and I help facilitate our community webinars here at ArcXP. We have an exciting speaker for you today for our July community webinar, and we're excited to hear from him and to share some of the things that are going on in the industry. Before we get started, just a few logistics. So you are joining the webinar in mute. However, if you have questions, you can type it into the chat and our facilitator will get to it at the end of the webinar. So we will have some Q&A time. So please feel free to ask questions throughout and certainly at the end during the Q&A time. The other thing I wanted to let everyone know about is that we have another webinar coming up in August. Tentatively, it's for Tuesday, August 29th, and our Chief Technical Officer, Matt Monahan, will be coming to share a little bit about ArcXP's perspective on AI. So it's a bit of a continuation of this discussion, specifically from ArcXP, how we're thinking about AI and how it's shaping some of the tools that we're delivering and going to be delivering in the future. So if this is a topic that's of interest to you, keep a lookout for that registration, and we will see you in August as well. So at this point, I'll hand it over to our facilitator for the day, Brigitte Feathers, who is our Director of Customer Enablement. Brigitte.
Hi, folks. Welcome to the webinar. As Adam said, my name is Brigitte Feathers. I'm the director of the customer enablement team here at ArcXP. And I'm really happy to introduce our presenter for the month, Vicente Yarad from Metro World News. He will be presenting on a very timely topic that I know there's a lot of interest in, which is integrating AI content into your content workflow. This can be a controversial topic. I know this from my own experience here at the Washington Post's headquarters in DC, that it's both exciting and anxiety-inducing for journalists and editorial teams. As our CTO, Matt, said during the Connect event in Costa Rica, we here at ArcXP believe that this is an opportunity. And we're very excited about it, and we're excited to share more. But for right now, Vicente is going to kick it off with a demo of what his team has done, and then we will start taking some questions. Vicente?
Thank you, Brigitte, for the introduction, and thank you all, the whole ARC team for the invitation to participate and be part of this conversation. I'll share my screen right now to start the webinar. So yeah, as Brigitte was saying, this is a very controversial topic. We all know that AI is currently everywhere. Everyone is talking about this. And we don't know exactly, in my opinion, how this is going to impact on our businesses or in our industry specifically, because this is on a really early stage. For example, this product like ChatGPT, they're no longer alive from a year ago. They're pretty new from us, but we believe that the key to understand more about AI and how this is going to impact is by using it and having like an innovation environment in the organization, so we can test it out and be part of this to understand and learn, of course, a little bit more. So in this session, I'm going to share from our perspective a little bit about our experience, how we see AI as an opportunity to optimize, to grow, and also to expand into new products and also new markets by developing tools to enhance the product production and have better journalism by the end of the day. So to understand more a little bit about us, we are Metro World News. We are a global media company with operation in 18 different countries, 60 cities, over 35 websites in 8 different languages. But our operation that is mostly in Latin America. We have eight operations in Latin America. And in those 8 operations, we are using RXP. In those countries that are Chile, Peru, Colombia, Argentina, Ecuador, Brazil, Mexico, and Puerto Rico, we reach around 60 million of monthly active users. Those are 18 websites in 2 languages, Spanish and Portuguese. We produce around 1,200 stories every day with a staff of 150 journalists, counting reporters and editors, of course. And I'll give you a little bit about the context of how we ended up using these new things, and I'll show you about our journey, about our path. So I go back to 2015, when we, as Metropole News, had a huge presence and impact on the print side. And we were focusing on this digital transformation. We were starting to having conversation to be a relevant player in the media industry, in the digital media industry, and have like this sustainable business at this time. So in order to do that, some of the tactics and the focus on the strategy at that time was in terms of technology, having our own CMS at that time, bringing the readers a great user experience, a good reading experience, and also in terms of editorial, through an audience development strategy, and for commercial, optimize the digital business on direct sales, programmatic, and also branded content. So this strategy was like the beginning of it and brought us actually great results in terms of growth and having this sustainable business and profitable operations. But everyone knows that 2020 came really difficult for this industry, and actually by the end of 2019, in most of the countries that we have operations in Latin America, we were facing some social crisis, economic crisis, that had a huge impact on our business. So the new scenario was like we had to downscale our product and our development team, unfortunately, to support all the product that we already had back then. And that also had an impact on the editorial and commercial teams in order to keep this business profitable, sustainable, and healthy. But this thing came up with an opportunity, a new challenge to do things in a different way. So this is when we face this new reality, into this new opportunity to focus all the product development into an optimization in our workflow of the content production and also the commercial side. So in 2021, we were looking for a tech partner that could all take care of all the CMS, all the website, all the content, all the technology side parts. So we were looking for this partner that we can relate the whole development production in terms of CMS and website. And our team in one side could have focus on the optimization of the workflow process. So we can provide to the editorial and the commercial teams tools that could optimize their workflows. And this is where the part with RXP came up. That was by the end of 2021. And we started the process of migration of 17 websites. We did it trying to focus on these three main areas. The first part was the migration part. We came up with a plan with the ARC team to migrate only stories from 2020 onwards. That doesn't mean that we are not migrating the rest of stories. It just means that the stories that we are migrating are only 2020 just for launch. Then, in terms of, scalability, we develop everything using themes. All these native components from themes to launch the website in a very simple way. We know that for us, the user experience was really important. In terms of scalability, we develop everything using themes to optimize the launch. For us, was really important to have a really good experience for our users, for our readers. The web core vitals, for example, was something that we really care about, and what themes on page builder, on everything that brought us was better that we used to have back in 2015, and also was better than the industry, better than what we see in the industry. So, and that part, relay everything with the art team on the migration, and also the part of the scalability, our team could focus on this workflow optimization. So we have launched 17 different websites in 3 months. I think that we beat a record on our team that was really, really fast. Actually, the first website that we launched was just after 3 weeks of starting migration. The whole migration ended up in less than six months. And the interest part is that we migrate the 2.4 million articles that already have on our database. That was like a huge amount of articles, but with this workflow and this process that we did together with the team ARC was a great experience with no losses of the content. Everything went really, really, really straightforward as was planned. And so this is the part where it became interesting, because we believe that optimization is the key to do all of this process, and that allowing us to focus our development team on optimization, these kind of things, in three main pillars. One is the data. We need to understand more about our users, or how they behave, and also how our journalists produce content. So we integrated with the RXP API to measure the whole content production based on section, author, and topic. So we were bringing that tools to the journalists and editors to understand more about how they impact the content that they are creating. Also, in terms of distribution channel, we automate some workflows like push notification, social media, auto posting on Twitter, Facebook, also a tool to customize content for Instagram and design content for Instagram, and also the newsletter. And then I think the part that we are currently talking and we are expecting to talk more is how we integrate our XP with ChatGPT on how we optimize this content, and also how we can use to translate and expand into new products and new markets. So we know that AI became this like huge player in the industry. It's very recently, but everyone is talking about and everyone is actually doing things. So we have discovered some opportunities for this product development, optimizing these editorial workflows, and also to enhance how the content development is working and how we can have better journalism by helping editors do things that they, for example, take some time and they are not significant relevant. So in terms of content production, there's a few simple tasks as like, I don't know, keyword generation or some content optimization that AI could help us, and not because to save more time and do more with less, is to focus more into have better journalism and have deeper content. We see that these tools are more into the deeper journalism, not cheaper journalism, right? And in terms of internalization, as you see, we are in so many countries. We are currently in 2 languages, Spanish and Portuguese, and we are looking or we are developing tools so we can translate content with AI, with a human supervision, of course, and distribute it without any content barriers. Of those 1,200 articles that we produce every day, about 1,000 are in Spanish right now. About 200 are in Portuguese. Of those 1,000 articles that are in Spanish, for example, people from Chile, from Colombia, from Mexico, from every country in Spanish can take it and circulate it through ARC, right? They can share their content. So they don't need to produce content that is already created by other member of the team in another country. But in Brazil, we have this language barrier that it doesn't allow it. So we develop a tool that it could take any article from any language, in this case in Spanish, translate it and circulate it with ChatGPT, for example. And to do this, and the combination between how we optimize this content and how we can expand into a new product, we are defining, or more than defining, we believe that we are having this new role for this product development that content producers need to adapt. It's not just to create or distribute content, but it's more into the curating and the content aggregation part. And that is when became this really interesting, because this is something really new for us, and we're starting to implement it very recently, but with good results. Right now, I'm going to be a little more practical. I will show you a little bit how we integrate, for example, ChatGPT with ARC, a little of examples of how we use it with some real demo. So I think that most of the people here are, they know ARC, RxP, but Composer is the web editor, in case you don't know. WebKit have an API that you can integrate it, and we integrate it into the workflow of RxP. We did it that way because we don't want to have the journalist to go out to a different website, to a different web page to do that. So what we did here is to create a Google Chrome extension. So we intervene a little bit the ARC experience in Composer, adding some buttons or adding some part that they are not part of the ARC platform, but could help editors to not go to another website to do the whole workflow. So here's a video, for example, on how we could create automated keywords with AI. In this article, for example, I just go with the meta tab, and we inserted this button here that is generate by AI, with AI. And in a few seconds, it's going to load keywords based on the whole content. So that saves like, I don't know, 30 seconds or a minute. So they could, with this time, focus on produce more, and more than produce more, into get deeper into the journalism, into the article, having things that they matter for the users. I don't know, getting other resources and having more a better experience for the reader, right? Another thing that we have developed is how we can optimize a few paragraphs on it. In this same article, for example, I can select a paragraph that I'm not sure I like. This button here that I'm showing, this is not in ARC natively. We inserted with the Chrome extension, and it takes the original text, and now ChatGPT go and take a new version, but this version is not just a random version of the text. It's based on what the content is. For example, if this article is in Mexico and they use another word for movie, and I am getting in Chile a new version of the website, the ChatGPT integration can understand that and can give you a different word for movie. It could be película or cinta, for example. And this is based on the context. Also, for example, another example that we have for internalization on translation content here, we use the same Composer and WebKit API with ChatGPT, but we added a few more steps here because we wanted to have like a whole workflow experience for our journalism. So we integrated with Task. So how it works is that the editor selects the articles that they would like to be translated, and the journalist can claim those tasks as a task. And when they claim, they have to supervise, they have to adjust the content, and then publish. So this is an example. For example, I'm taking this article, and that is in Spanish. I read it, and I feel like it could be interesting for the Brazilian audience. So through the same experience of ARC, I go with translate to Portuguese with AI. I select this as a web sketch pitch. And when I did it, I just need to wait a few seconds. We send a Slack notification to the editor so they can know when the article is ready, because it takes a few minutes. But when it's ready, they go directly through the task part on WebSketch, and they see actually two different versions of the website, because we have two websites in Brazil. One from it's called Nueva Mujer, and also the other one is Metro World News. They select the one that they would like to edit. They review and check if they need to add something, to remove something. For example, in this case, there's a link that it might be in Spanish, so I remove it. I can adjust anything that I feel like it must need it, and then I publish. The interest part is that here with this workflow, it takes way less time to produce content that it was already created by other people with other languages, and I can do it really quick without need to do it the whole translation by myself, or using other tools such as Google Translate. And we have tested this. I want to show you a little bit how this was impact on our business, because in Metro World News Brazil, we started this 2 months ago in a full rollout. We increased significantly the production with the same team. That means that this 35% of increase of content production is around 18 to 20 new daily stories that are translated with ChatGPT. Actually, it takes less than 2 minutes. 4 times less to produce and adjust this content with this tool, between 2 and 5 minutes to just edit, curate, or aggregate some part of the content. And we have a huge, significant impact on traffic page views. In the last 2 months, we have an uplift of 9 million of monthly page views. That is almost 40% of our traffic in Brazil. Actually, a little bit of increase on average session duration. And also, this other metric that I really like is that our average on article length increased 20%. That means that journalists are having more time to get deeper into those articles, and they can provide better quality content to our audience. And what next in terms of the future? We are having this product to roll out really soon by Q3. We have this tech vertical, for example, it's called Firewire, that is only in Spanish right now. It's currently have 4.5 million of active users across Latin America, is Spanish speaking, of course, audience. We currently have a small team of 5 journalists working, about 1,000 stories produced every month. And we are willing to expand this product into the Brazilian market. We know that there's a huge opportunity there. There's a lot of, the digital population is really huge. We are adding 2 content aggregators, as we define this role, to curate and translate and also optimize all the content that is already translated by AI. And also we are maximizing our original content by reusing at least 80% of the content that was produced in Spanish, but adding more local content to these local users and having them a better local experience. So I like to end this presentation with this quote that it's kind of cliche, but it feels like is what we were trying to do. So innovation is the ability to see the change as an opportunity, not a threat. And with AI, we are currently looking everything as an opportunity. As I said before, we wanted to learn, we wanted to be part of this, We don't know how it's going to impact by the end of this process, because as I said, this is really, really early. And we are really excited to see what the future of this is going to be. So that would be it.
Thank you so much, Vicente. This is amazing and really fascinating. And thank you for doing this in your second language. I appreciate you taking the time to do this in English so that everybody could join. So I know we have a couple of questions already in the QA. Please add your questions or your comments. Please join me in thanking Vicente for taking the time. But I wanted to start off with a question that I have after listening to this, which is, how does your journalist team feel about this now that they've worked with it for a couple of months? How did they feel at the beginning, and how do they feel now?
Yeah, that's a good one. So at first, of course, it took us like a few weeks, maybe over a month, to implement this, because the team sometimes feels that these kind of tools are a threat instead of something that they could help. So most of the team was a little bit afraid, and we developed a workflow to do that very seamless, like very small, with just a few people that were more into AI, more that they were using actually AI for their content production, using ChatGPT or any other tool to optimize their same work. So we started, as I say, with just 2 people, and right now the whole team is working with the tool. They feel like this is something that it facilitates what they are doing. They feel like they need to, let's say, like it's something that it takes less time to do it, but they can focus something that had more impact, right? They would like to have more, I don't know, resources on the article. So they're looking for those resources, or more reference, or more, so they can spend more time in the same article and providing more information for the user. And right now, after 2 months, I feel like not all of them are excited, but most of them are. Because we have seen the impact, we have seen a significant increase on page views, that we are not reducing any jobs. Actually, we are adding more people to this team to aggregate content or curate content. And we have very, very strong plans, for example, in Brazil, as I said. So they are really excited, most of them, about
Awesome.
this. Yeah.
And that's great to hear. I know we are facing the exact same challenges at the Washington Post, so it's nice to know we're all in this together.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's start with some of the Q&A that we have. So let's see. Alexandra Partida asked, for the translations with ChatGPT, are the translations accurate? Good question.
Yes, actually, they are very accurate. We were surprised because our first, the first thing that we did with translation was with Google Translate API. That was like a year ago, maybe a little bit more, and it didn't work. We were, our editors were saying that they spend more time fixing the translation than they read the article in Spanish and they could write it again by themselves. So that part didn't work. But when we made the second version with ChatGPT, that helped a lot. There's a few, of course, errors, but they could be fixed really quick. I believe that they need curation. There's not something that you can auto publish because it's translated with ChatGPT. We are not there yet. I don't think it's going to be, because there's no any other value over that. But yeah, the translation it's really good with ChatGPT comparing with any other translation platforms that we were having before.
Awesome. Next, an anonymous question here. The translation pitch capability is very cool. Did I understand correctly that the platform pitch is creating a new document in the new language, which can then be grabbed from WebSched?
Yes, that's correct. So
Okay.
as we pitch into the platform, we use the Arc XP API to create a new content through all the what ChatGPT bring us, right? So we insert from content, insert the article, but also keywords. We insert I don't know, meta information from the image, also captions from images, and so on. So yeah, we use the whole API to create and insert a new version, a new article to be published in this website that is from Brazil.
Awesome. All right, question from Sayed Ali. How did you implement subscriptions and paywall?
Yeah, actually, this is not part of our business model. Metro World News, it's a free newspaper. I mean, it was a free newspaper back in 1995 in Sweden when it was first launched. And part of our DNA is to bring content for free, and we were optimized our business model based on advertising. So yeah, I don't know how to respond to this answer to this question.
I think that actually might be a great question to throw over the fence at Matt Monahan next month with
Totally.
how we would recommend doing it. I don't want to answer off the top of my head, but I have a couple of ideas about how you could do it. We've done multi-language documentation for articles for ARC before. So there's a couple of ways to link articles together. So we'll table that for another discussion, but thank you. Question from Bruno Savoca. Have you ever considered creating a chat interface within Composer? Why or why not? I think this is to us, or is this to, yeah, I'm assuming this is for ARC, and I am going to be a little lazy and let Matt Monahan answer that one next month. The answer is we're considering a lot of features for Composer and for other tools, and we're evaluating how AI is going to fit into the ARC landscape, but nothing is on or off the table yet officially. So I'm going to let Matt handle that one in a couple of weeks, but I really do encourage you to ask that question again. I'm going to make sure that he knows that it's coming because I think that's a great one.
I would like to add something on that part. So it's really great what the ARC development team is doing with the product, and they are actually developing new tools. But what happened is that in our case, we use the API, for example, to develop things that are based on our needs, right? So we have those needs of internalization, we have our needs of, I don't know, content translation, and the capability of the API of the product to develop things like that are great. So sometimes you could, for example, create a Google extension. So you can have your own chat over there. There's not something that it's for every customer. It's not something that is, you can have it and you can use the API, and the results are really great to integrate into your workflow or anything. So I think that maybe a chat or anything, it could be done by your team because the API and the structure and the foundation is pretty solid over there.
Thank you. That's so good to hear. Thank you for saying that. We strive for that every day. Question from Karen Coleman. What system do you use for data/monitoring to capture usage and engagement?
Yeah, so we, this is pretty basic maybe, but with AWS, we take all our, I mean, I'm not the technical guy, so maybe I'm going to say something really simple for your question, but we use AWS. We capture with the ARC API all the parameters that we wanted, and the result is a JSON file. This JSON file that with parameters in the URL, we can ask a few things, and I use them in our reports on Data Studio or in Google Spreadsheet to do that. But you can get it from any other, I don't know, data integrator and use it for your, of course, your needs.
All right, and then an anonymous question. Can you explain a little more about the revisions of paragraphs in text? You said it gave you suggestions for Spanish words in Mexico. How would that work if eventually expanded to many more languages?
Right. So what we are trying to do here is to get in a little bit of more of articles stored that are having a good impact, for example. So we are trying to rank them. So we are trying to differentiate what's a good article, for example, for, let's say, Google Discover, something that we are really looking to in terms of traffic acquisition or traffic distribution. And because of that, we are getting, for example, results. Those results. So we rank them, and we try to train, let's say, this this model, this AI model. What we are doing is the prompt basically change based on the website that you are, or the primary website that you are. If you are, for example, cloning an article that is in Spanish, that is created in Chile, and you wanted to put the primary website in Mexico, and you can select the paragraph and rephrase it with ChatGPT integration, it's going to understand that this paragraph in this part, it's now in Mexico. So the prompt is adjusted to do that with a Mexican tone and languages. And there's a database that it consults with the articles that we believe that, based on this ranking that I told you, have a good result, to give you some context. So it have a little bit more of information. It's not just copy the text and translate this for me, or readjust this paragraph for me. It's a little bit more complex, but the result could end up with a better experience for the user, because have a little bit more of that, right?
Great. We're going to get to as many questions as we can here, folks, but I know people are going to start having to drop soon. So we will get to as many as we can, and the answers will be on the recording that we will share if you're not able to stay on for your answer. So Jean-Sebastien Lemieux asked, are your journalist teams unionized? If yes, didn't you have a pushback saying you are taking job opportunities out by taking the translation adaptation of text coming from other sources?
Yeah, so no, we in this case that we are using in Brazil, they're not unionized. But answering to your question, we are not into the ability to, or I mean, we are not in the position to, for example, reduce jobs in Brazil, or reduce, to produce more content. We are in the path of having better journalism to our users. And we discovered that we can bring a better experience. We can bring articles that they were already created by other people from our team in another languages. In our context, our teams are spread across the whole region, right? We have people everywhere, not just in Brazil, right? So some teammate from Mexico or Colombia, or wherever it is, created an original content. And this content could be also for the same brand, but in another language. That is another website, right? So they don't feel, or we don't feel actually, that this is going to reduce or have some bad impact. We believe that this is totally something that it enhances the journalism, or the part of the content production, and it's a way of giving us more tools to do more. It's like having a good example of that. Like I remember, or someone said that this is like when the financial guys have discovered Excel or spreadsheets, and this is not something that we believe that is going to reduce jobs. It's something that power ups them, right? They're giving more capabilities to do more things and better things. So this is where we stand at. I don't know if I answered the question correctly, but
I'm going to jump in here real quick
yeah,
and also give some WAPO context, because the WAPO newsroom is unionized. And there is an ongoing, there's actually a whole team being built out in the Washington Post for investigation into AI and how to make it work, and how to make it work with a unionized newsroom. So this is not something that is going to be limited by what type of newsroom organization you have. And I do think you hit it right on the head, Vicente, with this isn't about taking away jobs. This is about creating opportunities to do more and to be faster and more thorough, as opposed to taking away job opportunities. I don't think anybody wants to do that. This is really about streamlining and making sure that there's as much opportunity to create great journalism and great content and to get your brand out there. So, question from Gabriela. Gabriela Esquivada, how does fact checking work? I believe each of the 5 editors has 5 pieces to edit per day. So how do they verify the content? For instance, there was a typo in subtitle H2, tenemos que hablar Kevin, instead of tenemos que hablar de Kevin, which was the name of the movie in the video miniature. Well, there you go. They were solving problems in real time for you.
Cool. Yeah, so this is totally a part of that we need to work on, and we are 100% committed into that we need to curate every content that is optimized on AI. We need to fact check everything, but from the basis, this content is not fully created on AI. It was this original content that was translated, for example, was from, let's say, from another, as I said, person from our team that have an editor that was already fact checked and have this original part. So when it's translated, for example, it needs to be checked, of course. It needs to be curated. It needs to add more value for this specific audience to be published. And for the part of optimization, when you get out like this article, this paragraph, and rephrase it or redo it with AI, even with that, they need more double check to see if this work. As we tried to say before, we try to rank a good paragraph or a good article to have better results. As also I mentioned, we are seeing this in a very early stage, right? And there's a lot of needs of improvement. There's a lot of adjustment that must be needed. So this is not something from our perspective that it's already done. It needs to keep developing, to keep training, to keep working, to make sure that we get into the goal, that the goal is to provide a better reading experience, better content to our audience. So this is where we put like the goal in the center, and the rest we adjust because we know that it needs to be adjusted or it needs to be checked.
Yeah. So we still have 10 questions. So I think, Vicente, we're going to go through these as quick as we can, because I do want to make sure that we're being responsive, but I know we're at time. So we'll get to as many as we can, folks, I promise. Have you tried the summarized module?
No, we haven't tried because the nature of our reader mostly came from Google or Facebook or any other external source. Not our recirculation is not that much, so that good, and our web homepage doesn't have much traffic. So we are not putting an effort right now, maybe in the future, to optimize to summarize content, to have a second click yet. It's something that we have a dev maybe, but not yet.
Karen Coleman, what was the level of resource dev team that you used to implement your migration? Was this an internal or external team?
Yeah, we did it internally with the support of our team. We didn't get into any integrator or any external team to do that. So it was pretty straightforward, simple. Actually, the best migration that we have. I've been here for 8 years, and we have passed for 3 migrations, and definitely the smoothest one.
We aim to please. How big was your team?
Yeah, sorry.
course.
At that time, yeah, we were having, let's remember that, 8 people from the team, in the dev team that took care of it. Yeah.
Great, thank you. How much effort is your, oh, sorry, this is from Kevin Wall. How much effort is your team needing to apply to maintaining the Chrome extension? Is it nimble enough to handle the changes to Composer that come from Arc? We have thought about creating a ChatGPT empowered Chrome extension, but are worried about how often Composer might change and break the extension. This is a really great question, Kevin, and I do want to point you to our browser extension page in ALC that has the Arc official policy about browser extensions. Because you're right, we can't guarantee that it's going to be fully compliant for every version. So Vicente, how is your team handling that challenge?
So we haven't, I mean, since this is really new, the extension, since we tested, and right now it's like 3 or 4 months, right? So it's pretty new, and it haven't changed actually Composer in that time, or it haven't changed in a way that it could impact the
we've
extension.
had several releases, so we just haven't had a major UI change. I think that the challenge here would be making sure that you've got it set up in such a way that you can test when this goes to sandbox, so that it doesn't break.
Of course.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have 2 people working on this extension right now, the CTO and one full stack developer. And yeah, well, I'm not sure if we have validations over there, but we must have to make sure this doesn't break.
Yeah, and shout out to Adam. He actually coordinates all those release notes that go out every week, so that you know ahead of time when you're going to have a major change to Composer or any system that you have a Chrome extension working on. So let's see what else we've got here. Jean-Sebastien, is your tagging based on the text on its own, or it works from a list of tags that the AI chooses?
From the text on its own. Yeah.
Excellent. Michael Munch asks, do you support text analysis only, or have you also looked into image generation? If so, what are your experiences?
Just text analysis. We haven't have experience of images. It's something that we don't know yet how this is going to work because of the rights of images. Something that I'm really worried about. Because everything that we are working on text is based on what we are producing based on, as I said before, like the translation is based on original content that was produced for someone else from our team, or the keywords is based on a content that is already created from the same person that asking the question. But in terms of image optimization or image creation with the AI, I don't know whether it is how it's going to impact in terms of rights, who takes the pictures, if it takes from somewhere else. So this is something that I'm not, I mean, I don't know, because we haven't get into that yet, but there's a lot of questions and concerns about that.
Yeah, that is a very complex integration
Yeah.
there. I'd love to see something for it. I think it'd be very cool. Sayed Ali asks, what theme did you end up using?
What theme?
Yeah, what theme?
I think, I mean, maybe the question is about, yeah, we use the themes, the version 1.
Yeah.
I understand that there's a second version, but we haven't implemented yet.
It's coming soon, folks, I promise. Yeah, we can see if we can do something about themes 2.0 for a webinar or something like that. There's a nice note for future topics. Gabby Moreno asks, are the SEO keywords recommended for the articles based on data that you feed into the system, or they come from the AI itself? Specifically, they come from ChatGPT.
Yeah, they come from ChatGPT. Yeah, and we have a few, like, I don't know, the SEO keywords particularly. We know that Google had said that have not a good impact on I mean, they're not impact on the SEO ranking, right? We needed to have it because most of the journalists use it. They asked for it. And we know that it takes some time to write the keywords. So this was one of the first features of this product that we launched, because we didn't want to spend time of this because the impact is not much, and we wanted to spend time on what really matters: deeper content, better content, quality content, right?
Yeah, exactly. Thomas Peach asks, you mentioned an increase in productivity in the editorial team by 35%. Do you know which of your new AI features was the main driver?
I mean, it was the translation in this case. This was in particular in the Brazil product. It's not the whole overall production, right? And because they were not able to get content from other newsrooms, and now with this ChatGPT integration, they can. The language is not a barrier. They just take them. ChatGPT with webs get translated, so that this is why it increased. We added like a week ago a content aggregator in Brazil, for example, and this person is mostly in charge of adjusting, curating, and every content that is already translated, they needs supervision. It's not just published, as I said in the demo, because I wanted to do it fast, of course, but this new person is in charge of optimizing everything that is translated because of AI.
Thank you. And an anonymous question, when setting the system role in your backend, such as act as a journalist from, how specific were you in this step?
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
Yeah, so when you're setting roles, how specific do you make the roles on the back end?
Yeah, we haven't adjusted the roles in the backend in the system. We were having this as the same role as any journalist. We have editors and journalists, I believe reporters on roles, and we have those on over journalists. So no adjustment over there. Yeah.
Great. And last question that I have here, again, anonymous. Are you using IFX for your AI integrations logic, or are you doing this outside of ARC?
Yeah, that's a little bit of technical question, but I believe, but I don't want to be wrong in this question, that we are using IFX. But the first version of IFX, right? To send all the article, the components of the article with IFX to the ChatGPT integration that we have.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well from our side, but I think we can both check and make sure. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody for staying a little late. Thank you, Vicente, for taking so many questions. As you can see,
of course,
this is a very interesting topic for all of us. And again, I encourage everybody to come back next month for another chat about AI with Matt Monahan, our CTO. And thank you for spending this time with us today. We really appreciate your questions and your feedback. So please, we look forward to more in this series. Everyone have a great day. Thank you again, Vicente.
Thank you. Amazing. Thank you everyone for the invitation and for presenting this. Yeah, really excited.